This is Metal Hellsinger. We're here on Xbox Series X. Be sure to like the video. Subscribing is great as well. So this is a really intense rhythm-driven game where apparently the music won't cause any sort of weird copyright issues, so that is fantastic. So yeah, rhythm-based shooter where you are blasting things kind of akin, I guess you would say, to like Doom Eternal and whatnot, but you need to kind of hit the beat, and that is actually rather interesting. So the game has two options when it comes to the settings for graphics. We've got performance and we've got resolution. So performance is supposed to be a lowered resolution, less than 4K by a fair bit, at up to 120 FPS. And then you've got resolution mode, which is supposed to be like a full 4K 60 FPS. So I think you can kind of notice that there is a bit of a slowdown when it kind of goes to that. Performance mode was kind of my way to go, especially since this is, you know, a very high, kind of fast-moving kind of game, but you do notice a substantial increase in the resolution quality. But yeah, again, I think performance is kind of your kind of go-to thing, especially since it can, you know, hit up to such high levels. Now, keep in mind, YouTube can't support 120 FPS. I can't record at 120 FPS. I'm actually currently, in the way I'm like recording this, I'm not playing at the 120 FPS option, in case you're wondering, in regards to frame rate, but I'm showing how it like visually looks at that setting. So I hope that is kind of helpful gameplay-wise, so you can understand kind of how it looks and everything like that, and get a feel for the game. So this is kind of neat because it's got like these, I guess you would say, art-based kind of like cutscene sort of moments that go on, and then you are, you know, out and about shooting things, and there's bosses, and everything is to the beat of this really intense music, and it gives you like these imminent hits and these special attack things that you can do. And you also need to balance like gathering health, building up your combos, smashing things, destroying stuff, firing to the beat. Now, I don't really have any sense of actual rhythm to myself. I'm just not, you know, very good at shooting to the beat. So for this one, a lot of my gameplay is me kind of looking at, that was a big miss there, is kind of looking at the center of the screen. And with a shooter, that's not necessarily the best, because I'm not really taking in my scenery or the combat that needs to be going on. I mean, it obviously works, as you're seeing here. You know, I think, effectively shooting things and, you know, causing chaos, and, you know, I'm definitely killing stuff. But it's like, I don't know, I almost appreciate it a little bit less world-wise because I'm so focused on the center of the screen. And I would imagine, you know, that other people might feel that way as well. So just keep that in mind. But if you have a good rhythm sense to you, I think, you know, you might find the whole beat system to be kind of like a fun sort of, you know, unique element to this game that does make it stand out a bit. And it's interesting. I like the music. I actually think the music's kind of jam-packed. It feels epic. You're moving through the environment really intensely to these songs, and yeah, it's just kind of this really intense metal, rock and roll kind of craziness that's going on, and it just fits the whole Hell vibe. And you've got like, I also love that when you jump, you can kind of see like your wings, and I think that in itself is just really, really interesting. But yeah, like I said, it's basically kind of Doom Eternal-esque, where you are fighting through these little combative arenas, and you know, eventually there's like a boss thing you're taking out, and you know, you get different weapons and different tools, and you know, you got like a sword thing, so I could be like, okay, kind of wondering if I should go for that. But yeah, and then you've got like, there's the skull. I was trying to show off the skull thing, and I died. Resurrect. Portion of my score will be taken, more like all the score will be taken. But yeah, you get all these different weapons, and it's like sword. But yeah, like I said, you gotta hit to the beat. There is a calibration system in this game too. It is funny when you like mess up a bit. with the beat. It's kind of like, do you need to calibrate your game? And I'm just like, nah, I'm just no good at this. Which is kind of funny. But it is kind of cool, like, you know, when you are vibing along, blasting stuff, it feels really, really great. It's just, for me, again, I kind of like, and as I'm saying this, I'm just like really locked to the middle of the screen, and I'm not really setting up additional, like, you know, attacks or combo setups, or I'm not really thinking out my shooting strategy. And for me, that kind of takes away a bit of like what a shooter is supposed to be. And I really feel like I'm not appreciating the environment, but that's just because I don't have that real good kind of self-ability to shoot beat and just kind of feel it. Which is totally on me, but I'm thinking other people might kind of feel like that. So there are a few levels, everything is kind of scored, you do your runs, you get to customize your, you know, kind of, I guess, run profile setups to a degree as you keep playing, and yeah, it's kind of neat as you're just kind of fighting through this, like, hellscape scenario, blasting things away. Let's go back and throw on the resolution mode again. I would say that I think VRR helps a little bit, but yeah, it almost seems like it's a future-proofing technique more than anything, which is interesting for this mode, because it just feels a lot slower, which is odd. Yeah, and you can like reload on the beat too, which gives you more points, and you're constantly being like marked. It's like, are you doing perfect? Are you getting those hits in and stuff? So yeah, I would say this one definitely can be quite fun. Like, I actually find it kind of interesting and entertaining. And when you're like really in the flow of the beat, it can feel really good to be like moving around all sleek and shooting stuff and getting those shots off and hitting those marks. I think that's fantastic. But otherwise, it's kind of like, ooh, what's going on? But yeah, I was really jamming through like the an earlier part of this game, like the kind of a first set wave, and I was just like, this is really feeling good. You know, moving through these different areas, fighting these waves of enemies, and then eventually like taking on a big boss thing, which feels crazy. And you know, I think that's all handled quite well. And you see little flames popping up. So that's a little bit of the game too, is like a little bit of a rock opera was what I was getting at earlier, just in regards to like some of the environmental kind of stuff reacting a little bit to what's going on too. Like, it's, oh wow, I can't believe that actually got me there, which is kind of funny. But yeah, completely original rock track for this game, actual storyline. Troy Baker narrates it, if that's something that's intrigued by you. There's special challenges you can unlock. It's fiery, a coldscape, you know, it does a little bit of everything. And there's also the element of like your fury kind of building up, which is neat. You can really get some crazy attack combos and that going on. And it kind of like reminds me maybe a bit of like Guitar Hero, where it's kind of like you're looking at things. But the big difference that I want to say for like, you know, when I look at something like Guitar Hero, is that, you know, I'm able to kind of look at the thing around. Like, you're supposed to be focused in on what's going on in the middle. Whereas when you're playing a shooter like this, you're not supposed to be focused in on the middle. You're supposed to be like moving around, shooting things, and appreciating the world. To me, that's a bit off. But you could definitely, I think if you've played like Doom Eternal or similar type shooter games, you can see where it's like, yeah, this definitely kind of feels on brand with that. You're going through the different environments, you know, kind of shooting things, smashing stuff, stabbing things. And I do think the character looks kind of badass in a sense too. And then you get a pretty good variation of enemies you're fighting. You know, everything related to small things to like beefier big stuff. And the boss fights are kind of engaging as well. I actually found the boss battles to be kind of a neat sort of mix up on combat and whatnot. I mean, they're not anything we haven't seen, but you know, in general, this game is like, hey, go to the beat and everything like that. And then you can dash to the beat too. So that's what I'm saying, is like everything has like this sort of musical type soul to it. And if you're good at combining this stuff, you can almost get like this very fluid sort of cycle system of, you know, taking those shots, moving around. It can feel really, really good and feel very, very powerful, like, as you're just smashing things, dominating stuff. Oh, we got the Super Fury Max. Nice. Yeah, and then the soundtrack, like I was saying, is just really, really actually pretty top-notch. It feels just intense the whole way through, which is, I would say, always something easy to pull off because, well, yeah, rhythm-based game, obviously you need to hit that just perfect, otherwise, you know, the excitement dies down, which isn't good. But yeah, no, I think they kind of nail the infusion of music, combat, and like fast-paced gameplay that's just action-packed. Like, this is just intense, right? But it doesn't really feel like, it doesn't feel quite as tiring as, like, because when I play like Doom Eternal, I really feel tired in that one after a while. But this one, I don't really have that. Like, pacing-wise, it doesn't feel as like relentless. And I think that is because everything is kind of segmented on a beat of like, hey, I need to do this here and, you know, do this then to be able to pull this off and whatnot. Is there another health thing somewhere nearby, or am I just kind of like... I think I might be out of luck on this one. Yeah, and this thing, like, sometimes when you get that indicator to do, like, the right stick attack, it doesn't seem to, like, always sort of work, if that makes sense. Like, the lock-on on it seems a little stiff at times. That's one thing I did notice gameplay-wise, moving around. It can be a little frustrating at times when you're trying to get that health going, so it should be perfectly sleek, but no, this is actually pretty fun and engaging, I gotta say. I just love moving around in here. I wish my health was a little bit higher, though. These vampiric type things. I don't know, everything's pretty monstrous as we fight through this hellscape. Or, like, smash to the beat of this hellscape. I actually kind of wonder, you know, the music-wise, it's, you know, inspiration. It's like, oh, we're doing a hell story, but we're also doing it to a kick-ass beat. Well, I guess it kind of just fits well, doesn't it? Down you go, crazy monster thing. I also love how satisfying it is when you do, you know, mulch up these enemies, just seeing them kind of like explode around in the environment. Yeah, I really like, I keep trying to like kind of look off into the distance, because if you do take a second, you kind of look back there, like, it looks awesome, right? But it's just like so centrally focused on actually hitting the beat to get like the scores and stuff. It kind of just takes away the atmosphere a little bit for me. Oh, that's close. Oh no, we're good. Okay, we just lose a little bit of health. And of course, you know, there's going to be some challenge and whatnot to it as well, and you need a little bit more of a challenge. I'm sure you can find that here too. I'm gonna go get that health. I do like that the worlds, like the different areas you have, do tend to flow pretty well with one another. Like, you go off into these different areas, and you kind of like, you can move around. I wouldn't say there's like intensive secrets, but like you might be able to find like a little boost thing here or there if you go off the path a little bit. And it is interesting how, like, again, going for the Doom Eternal comparison, it does keep you moving. Like, standing around in one spot is just gonna kind of get you killed. And these play spaces all kind of lend themselves well to being a spot of creativity or a spot of, like, extra sort of challenge where you're like, okay, I'm a little bit more claustrophobic here, or oh, you know, this spot's a little bit more open. That's kind of neat. So I think it's got, you know, a decent amount of content to it. I think the combat feels pretty good. You know, there's little things here or there that could be like a little bit more, I don't know if intensive or maybe varied, or just like some of the lock-on stuff for like melee things could be a little bit better handled, like I was noting there. But I think for the most part, it's kind of fun. It probably, you know, again, being, you know, rhythm-based might not be for everyone because of that, because again, I kind of do struggle a bit keeping a beat or rhythm in general of anything in life. So for me, I'm kind of just like this extra layering of difficulty to it. And then I just don't appreciate the world around me because I'm just like looking at the center of the screen, just seeing these like dance beats going off. It's kind of like the evolution of like, you know, you'd get these like little mini games and other games where you do like a dancing sequence and you gotta, you know, match the buttons, things as they come across the screen. That's basically what you're doing, and then the backdrop is like these intense demonic monsters that are trying to like rip you to pieces. Ah, that one almost got me. Oh, he's still alive. Because I'm trying to get everything perfect so that A, I look good what I'm doing, and B, so this thing actually dies fast. Is there any more health? Everything should be done on the beat to be more effective. You are dead. More enemies? I can't handle more enemies. They're not singing that I got the beat, I got the beat. It's kind of like a Doom Light, almost. With music. Rock music. Nice. I'm just getting mulched up. And it is interesting how every, like, I guess I could have mentioned this too, every almost act of the game feels like its own set of things that kind of like flow through. So it almost gives you like a natural bit of playtime where it's like a good point where you can kind of take a break is sort of like, oh, you know, you work through these few levels that are part of like this act in the game. Now you can kind of see how you did, and then you can choose to keep going with the run, or you can just kind of be like, okay, I'm going to take a break now from the run. And I think that in itself is actually pretty well handled. There we go. No, it just kind of segments and splits things pretty well, I think. This looks fantastic. See, I'm not even appreciating the world to the degree that I could be. Uh-oh. Maybe it'll be like your undoing. Did it say ride the lightning? That's kind of funny. Yeah, this is like a boss thing, obviously. Whoa, whoa. Unshakable, okay. Yes, rise, condemned souls. You do your thing. See, doesn't the music just get you amped up? It's a little bit of a refill. It'd be pretty funny to die on like the minions, not even the boss. Although I got like low health. I have to fight this thing for a lot of its health.